Hey, what's up creators? Today we're going to be showing you how we can create the popular slow motion effect that you see in Superhot. For this I am using the Unreal Engine 5 first person shooter template. You can however implement this into your own game. Let's go ahead and jump into Unreal Engine 5 and get started. So inside of Unreal Engine, if I go ahead and press play on the viewport, and then F11 to go full screen, you can see I can move around. And with this, I have a gun, and I'm able to shoot this, and I've got projectiles. I've also got some really cool physics objects here. Now, with that being said, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be implementing the slow motion effect into our character, as it is based off the character's movement speed. You're going to need to open up your character blueprint. For me, because I'm using the first person template, this is under Content, First Person, Blueprint, and BP_first person character. If you don't know what your character blueprint is, you can find out by going to Window, World Settings, and then just checking under World Settings what our selected game mode and first person character is. In there, you can then click Browse to this and open it up. Just double click on it to open it up. It may ask you if you want to open up the full blueprint editor. Make sure you press yes on this. But what we have here now is if we take a look at our viewport, you can see we have got all of the elements for our character. We have got the first person character, we have got the first person camera, we've got the arms, and in the event graph, we've got all the functionality for movement. This is what we're going to be adding to. Okay, so in terms of logic for what we're going to be creating then, is essentially every single frame, we want to calculate what the character's current movement speed is, and we can get this in the form of velocity. Then what we're going to be doing is simply taking that, and based off the speed, we're going to be updating what's called the global time dilation. This is just essentially how fast the game is going to be running. We're going to be doing this within a very simple function. Let's go ahead and set it up. Okay, so within our character blueprint in our event graph, what we're going to be doing first of all is creating a function which is going to have our code. Go over to your functions tab on the left-hand side, go to plus function, and then inside of here, we're going to create a new function called slow mo update, just like that. You can of course call this whatever you want, but I would recommend keeping it the same as mine for the purpose of this tutorial. So let's talk about logic and start converting this into code now. First of all, we are going to be right-clicking and getting the velocity of the player. Now this is exactly why we're doing this inside of the first person character or the character blueprint, because we have the character movement. And of course, we can get the velocity of this. Then what I'm going to do is just simply convert this to a float that I can use. The way I'm doing this is by simply just using vector length. So what we've got now is the velocity. And what I need to do is right click and search for set global time dilation. This global time dilation is going to go between a value of 0 to 1, 0 being no movement at all, to 1 being the normal speed. You can of course set this to something like 10 to make it go 10 times the normal speed. But for now, we just want this to go 0 to 1. Now, the way we're going to do this is we're essentially going to map out a range between 0 and 1 based on the character's movement speed. And for that, we need to know the minimum and maximum movement speed. We can find this within our character movement component. This is up in the components panel in the top left-hand corner. Inside of here, we have our max walk speed. We can see this. It's 600 centimeters per second. So we know the slowest it can move is 0, and the fastest is 600. So what we're going to do is, because our velocity is also in centimeters per second, I can drag out from this vector here and use map range clamped. This is essentially going to allow me to put in a range between A and B using this value, and then get an out range, which is basically the same, and I can plug it into here. So my in range for A is going to be 0. This is the slowest movement speed. Our in range B is going to be 600. this is the maximum movement speed. If our character moves faster, then you're going to need to turn this value up. Now, the out range is essentially the values that we want to have our time dilation go from. So it's still going to be 0 to 600. It's then just going to be using division to sort of map that range to 0 to 1 instead of 0 to 600. Really simple stuff, really. So we don't ever want our game to run at 0 speed. So I'm actually going to get this to go between 0.1 and 1, which is the normal speed. I'm then going to take my return value and put this into my time dilation. And then I'm just going to join the execution pin for my function into this. So now whenever my function is called, it's going to set the game speed to that range based on the character's movement speed. Go ahead and hit compile and save on this, and then head over to your event graph. At this point, we're now ready to test this out for ourselves and see exactly how it looks. The way we're going to do this for now is just by running this on event tick. There is much better performance-friendly ways of doing this, such as running a timer per function node instead. But for now, just for ease of use, I'm going to show you how to do this on event tick. So to set this up and get it working, what we're going to do is inside of our event graph, for the character again, we're going to right click and we're going to search for event tick. Then with this, what we're going to be doing is simply calling our function for slow-mo update. So drag and drop this in. And on event tick, we're going to do slow-mo update. For those of you that aren't familiar with what event tick is, it's essentially an event that is going to be called every single frame of the game. If we go ahead and compile and save, we're ready to test this. Press play, press F11 to go full screen, and then let's get moving. I'm going to run towards my weapon, and you can see here I've got my normal movement, and I'm moving quite fast. And I can also shoot my weapon. But as soon as I let off that movement there, you can see it's gone slow-mo. I'm not moving, and then as soon as I jump or start moving, it does speed up again. So I'm moving, I'm shooting at full speed, and then as soon as I stop, you can see it goes slow-mo. Awesome. And again, we can just move forwards again and just carry it on. It's exactly like Superhot VR. I love it. Okay, so now that we've actually tested this and we know our effect works, what I want to do is just very quickly show you how we can make this a little bit more performance friendly by running this on a timer instead of every single frame. The way that we're going to do this is, instead of using event tick here, what we're going to do is set timer by function name. This is essentially going to allow us to input a function name into this, that being the slow-mo update that we just created, and essentially just loop it every 0.5 seconds, for example, instead of every single frame. So set looping to true, set your time up, set your function name in here, and now we can set just how often we want this to update. We could probably even do this every 0.1 second. What we need to do to be able to activate this now is we need to find our begin play, and we're just going to add this up to the end of the sequence so it starts this. Go ahead and hit compile, save, and play. And just like before, I can move around. I can get my weapons, and what I can also do is shoot. And then as soon as I stop moving, you can see it's all gone slow-mo. Okay, that's it. You now have your slow-mo effect and it looks incredible. If you'd like to take your game development skills to the next level, be sure to check out my first-person shooter game course and my survival game course, where you learn to build a game in just 1 week. As always, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Stay awesome, keep creating. Virtus signing out.